Imagine if you could actively, like, tune your own body and mind, like a finely crafted instrument, to get optimal performance and health. Sounds almost futuristic, doesn't it? Well, today we're going to dive deep into biohacking. It's this rapidly rising trend where people make deliberate changes, often really data driven changes, to their lifestyle, their biology, merging cutting edge science with, well, a very personal kind of self experimentation.
Exactly. And our mission today really is to unpack what biohacking actually means. Beyond the buzzwords, we'll explore the practical applications, get into the science and tech behind it, which is fascinating stuff. And also, importantly, take a critical look at the risks and the ethical questions. The whole point is to give you a thorough but still concise understanding so you can make, well, genuinely informed decisions about this whole area. It's intriguing but complex.
Yeah, and we've pulled together some great material for this, sources like Biohacking for Better Health, alongside more sciencey stuff like biohacking, the science of optimizing your body and mind. So a good mix of practical insights and the scientific background. Okay, so let's unpack this. We hear biohacking thrown around a lot. It feels like a massive umbrella term sometimes. From your perspective, what's really at its core? What defines it?
Well, fundamentally, biohacking is about making deliberate changes, often quite precise changes to your lifestyle, your biology, with the specific goal of improving health, performance, and just general well-being. The key idea really is taking control of your own biology to sort of sculpt your health and performance towards particular outcomes. Things like, more energy, better focus, maybe enhanced physical abilities, or even longevity, pushing those boundaries.
And it's fascinating, isn't it, the sheer range of what that covers. It can be really simple things like changing your diet stuff many of us already think about, all the way to, well, pretty advanced technological interventions, almost sci-fi level stuff. But the common thread, no matter the method, seems to be optimizing both body and mind.
That's right. And, one really striking thing is how biohacking represents quite a radical shift from, say, conventional health approaches. It moves you from being just a passive recipient of advice to an active participant, often a very data-driven participant in your own health journey. It's about getting to know your body's inner workings really well, choosing a path of like mindful, informed self-care instead of just reacting when things go wrong.
That's a really interesting way to put it, this radical shift to being an active participant. How does that mindset connect with the actual science? I mean, are we talking complex lab setups at home, or is it more accessible?
Well, that principle underpins everything, really. The whole idea of biohacking rests on this concept that every single human body is like a unique constellation.
Yeah.
Your specific genetics, your metabolism, how you interact with your environment. By studying your specific factors closely, you can make decisions that are tailored just for you, rather than relying on generic one-size-fits-all advice. And this leads us to what's often called the art of self-experimentation. But it's not just random trial and error, right? It's more about adopting a rigorous, data-driven mindset towards your own biology. You essentially become the lead scientist in an experiment of one. You try strategies, meticulously track the outcomes, what actually happens, and then you adjust your methods based on what your body tells you. Keeping detailed records is key here. It turns those personal insights into a kind of blueprint for lasting personalized health improvements.
Right, turning your body into a sort of living lab. That's powerful. So what are the actual scientific tools or methods that let biohackers decode that uniqueness and tailor things?
Yeah, so our sources get into some specific techniques. Genetic testing, for instance, has become really foundational for many biohackers. It helps decode your personal blueprint, understand predispositions to maybe certain diseases or nutrient deficiencies, or even how you might react to certain medications or processed food, your metabolic tendencies. Then there's biomarker analysis. This uses things like routine blood tests, but also more advanced stuff like metabolomics, which is basically a detailed map of how your body is processing nutrients and energy right now. And even cutting-edge imaging like MRI and PE scans can give you this incredible view of your inner health landscape. We're talking precise data on hormone levels, nutrient status, even brain activity patterns. Plus, you've got techniques like neurofeedback and biofeedback. These give you real-time insights, allowing you to actively learn how to regulate things like your heart rate, muscle tension, even your own brain waves.
Okay, so we've covered the science of personalization. Let's bring it back to everyday life. What does this actually look like day to day? When someone says they're biohacking, what are the main areas they're typically focusing on?
Right, practically speaking, it usually comes down to several key pillars. First up is nutritional optimization. And again, this isn't generic dieting. It's treated as a personalized science. Everyone's needs are different. So for example, the ketogenic diet, many people know it for weight loss, right? But a biohacker might use it more specifically to induce ketosis. That's where your body shifts from using carbs to burning fat really efficiently for fuel. Many find this give them more stable energy levels, reduces cravings, and actually enhances mental clarity because the brain gets a steady fuel supply. Then there's intermittent fasting, alternating between eating and fasting periods. This is thought to promote cellular repair processes, improve metabolic health, maybe even boost brain function. Popular ways are like the 168 method: fast for 16 hours, eat within an 8-hour window, or the 5.2 diet.
Right, the 5.2, eating normally 5 days, restricting calories 2 days.
Gotcha. Exactly. And supplementation is another big piece of the nutrition puzzle, often very targeted. You hear about nootropics, sometimes called smart drugs, things used to try and enhance cognitive functions, memory, creativity, motivation. Common examples are caffeine paired with L-theanine, maybe. And then adaptogens. These are natural substances like ashwagandha or rhodiola. The idea is they help your body adapt better to stress and maintain balance, kind of buffer you against life's pressures.
Makes sense. And then moving beyond nutrition, there's the physical side. You mentioned optimizing performance, but also recovery, right?
Yes, absolutely. Physical optimization often emphasizes balancing intensity with proper recovery. High-intensity interval training, or HIIT, is popular. Short, intense bursts of exercise followed by rest. Great for cardiovascular health, fat burning, metabolism. And then you see a lot of interest in cold therapy now, things like ice baths or cryotherapy chambers. The aim is usually to reduce inflammation, speed up muscle recovery after exercise, maybe improve circulation. It's like putting your body under a beneficial short-term stress.
Right. And sleep. That seems crucial.
Oh, fundamental. Sleep enhancement is seen as a cornerstone of health. Biohackers really understand sleep isn't just downtime. It's critical for regeneration, for consolidating memories. So sleep tracking using wearables is common. Monitoring patterns and quality lets you tweak your habits, your sleep hygiene to improve it. And things like blocking blue light in the evening, using special glasses or screen filters. That's to support your natural melatonin production for, hopefully, better sleep quality.
Okay, and the final piece you mentioned was mental performance.
Yeah, a major focus. Things like meditation and mindfulness practices are huge here. They help improve focus, reduce stress, enhance emotional well-being. You see apps like Headspace and Calm used a lot. And neurofeedback, which we touched on earlier. That's used here too as a technique to teach self-regulation of brain activity. By seeing your brainwaves in real time, the idea is you can learn to improve attention or reduce anxiety, consciously shaping your mental state in a way.
It really sounds like technology is woven into almost every aspect of this. What kind of tools are biohackers actually using day to day to get all this data?
Yeah, modern tech plays a absolutely pivotal role. It gives people unprecedented access to real-time data about what's going on inside their bodies. It really shifts health management from just guessing or waiting for problems to being proactive and informed.
Right. And the sources definitely highlight the range of tech involved. We're talking about those ubiquitous wearable devices, aren't we?
Right.
Fitness trackers, smartwatches, constantly monitoring things like heart rate variability, which is a really key indicator of your body's stress and recovery, plus activity levels, sleep patterns.
Exactly. And beyond wearables, there are cutting-edge apps and biofeedback systems, smartphone apps for tracking nutrition, exercise, mindfulness sessions, and those neurofeedback devices we mentioned,
Oh.
giving you visualizations of your brainwaves.
Okay.
Plus other advanced tools like continuous glucose monitors, which give you real-time blood sugar insights, or smart scales that go way beyond just weight, looking at body composition, metabolic indicators.
Gotcha.
And maybe zooming out a bit. It's not just about collecting the data, right? It's about understanding it and making it actionable.
Yeah.
This is where genetic and epigenetic analysis come back in, but maybe with a deeper purpose now. Understanding your genetic predispositions, how you handle certain foods, your ideal exercise types, combined with epigenetics, which is how your lifestyle actually influences which genes are switched on or off. That creates this really comprehensive, dynamic profile of you. And that profile becomes the sort of intelligent blueprint for a highly personalized strategy that can evolve over time.
Okay, this sounds incredibly empowering. So much potential for optimization. But I have to ask, doesn't the idea of constant tracking and tweaking feel a bit much, maybe even obsessive for some people? What are the downsides, the risks we need to be aware of?
That's a really, really critical question. And yeah, our sources definitely point out some inherent risks and ethical challenges. Firstly, there are straight up health risks. Some practices, particularly certain supplements or maybe implantable devices that aren't properly tested or regulated, they can pose real health hazards. And self-experimenting without proper guidance, without medical supervision can definitely lead to unintended consequences, sometimes serious ones.
Okay.
Secondly, there's the psychological side. That intense focus on tracking every little metric, unfortunately, can lead to anxiety or an unhealthy obsession with achieving perfection, or even feeding the disordered eating patterns for some individuals.
Mm.
And another major concern is the scientific backing, or lack thereof. A lot of biohacking practices, frankly, don't have rigorous scientific evidence behind them yet. So they might just be ineffective if you waste time and money, or worse, they could have hidden adverse effects, which ties right into the problem of misinformation. There's so much stuff online, unregulated claims. It means critical thinking and ideally consulting with actual medical professionals is absolutely essential before you jump into anything drastic.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Then there's data privacy. You're collecting vast amounts of really personal health data with all these trackers and apps. There's always a risk that data could be misused or exploited somehow.
Right, the privacy angle is huge.
And finally, this leads to a really important ethical consideration: social inequality. Let's be honest, many of the advanced biohacking techniques, sophisticated genetic tests, specialized therapies, high-end devices, they can be really expensive. So there's a real concern that the benefits of highly optimized health might only be accessible to a privileged few, which would actually widen the gap between the health haves and have-nots. It's something we really need to think about as this field grows. Who actually gets a benefit?
That's a sobering point. And with all that information or misinformation online, how do you even navigate that? How can someone practically vet the claims they see about a new supplement or technique?
Yeah, it requires real vigilance and a healthy dose of skepticism, honestly. You really want to prioritize information that's backed by peer-reviewed scientific studies, not just personal anecdotes or marketing hype. Cross-reference claims. Look at multiple reputable sources. And, I can't stress this enough, talk to qualified healthcare professionals, doctors, dietitians, etc. before you integrate any significant new practice, especially if it involves taking substances or anything invasive. It's all about balancing that excitement for innovation with responsibility. Okay. So, looking forward then, what does the future hold for biohacking? Where do you see this all heading, especially with technology accelerating so fast? Well, I think biohacking genuinely promises to reshape how we even think about health and longevity in ways that probably sounded like pure science fiction not that long ago. We're definitely moving towards a future where health is much more personalized, much more proactive.
And some of the potential developments sound incredible, like AI integration. Imagine AI not just tracking your sleep, but analyzing all your data, wearables, genetics, diet logs to give you incredibly personalized, scientifically validated recommendations. Maybe even predicting how a certain change will affect you next week.
Exactly. Predictive and proactive health management. And then there's nanotechnology, the idea of microscopic devices inside your body monitoring health at the cellular level, maybe delivering targeted treatments exactly where needed, or even performing tiny repairs.
Wow.
And neurotechnology is advancing rapidly too. More sophisticated brain-computer interfaces, neurostimulation devices designed to potentially enhance focus, reduce anxiety, boost creativity by directly modulating brain activity.
It's mind-boggling stuff.
It really is. And it also speaks to this vision of perhaps more collaborative progress. Communities of biohackers, researchers, doctors, all sharing data and ideas carefully, ethically, of course. This could also mean that some biohacking techniques might eventually become integrated into mainstream healthcare, shifting the focus more towards proactive, preventative strategies rather than just treating problems after they arise.
So after all this discussion, what does this really mean for you, the listener? What's the takeaway?
I think the core message is that biohacking, at its best, offers this profound opportunity to actively influence your own well-being. But it's a discipline, right? It demands courage to try things, to experiment. It demands curiosity to really understand your own body. It needs disciplined self-monitoring, tracking what works for you, and most importantly, informed critical decision-making. When you approach it with care, with critical insight, it genuinely has the potential to transform daily life, enhance performance, and maybe even extend the years of vibrant, high-quality health you experience.
Exactly. It feels like biohacking isn't just about adding more years to life, but more life to the years, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's about using science, using data to move beyond just surviving towards really thriving, celebrating a life that feels resilient, clear, full of well-being. It really invites you, I think, to redefine what it means to be healthy, to feel empowered, and to feel truly alive in today's world.